All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our podcast, the place where we meet with extremely successful people, people who drive their companies to the top of their industry. And my guest today, guess who? Piper Stull-Lane, director of product marketing, pretty big company, and also leading product marketer at DataGrail. Piper, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I got in just last night from a company offsite in San Diego, so I'm feeling ready for the new quarter, for the new year. Excited to try a lot of new things.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an entrepreneur or career builder?
Yeah, you bet. So I've been at this data privacy company for just under a year. I joined as their leader of product marketing. Over the last several months, I've been building out a team. We have product marketing managers, and we also have a brand team over on the product marketing side, which I personally love because it means that everything that we do from like a persona building perspective and messaging framework perspective really gets implemented across the funnel. So that's been a lot of fun. Prior to DataGrail, I was at an event tech company called Splash. I started there leading product marketing and then moved into a head of marketing role for about 6 months while the organization looked for a CMO. And that was a really rewarding experience, a super interesting time to be there because pretty shortly after I joined, COVID hit. And as an event tech company, we had to pivot really quickly, look at virtual solutions and take them to market. So as a product marketer, oddly enough, kind of a dream, got a chance to try a lot of innovative, fun things that definitely accelerated my career. And prior to that, a few other experiences, one at an ed tech company called teach.org. And then I really cut my teeth in product marketing at Tableau. So I was there for several years right after they went public to pretty much right before they got acquired by Salesforce.
Wow, that's interesting. And uh, currently, DataGrail, it's not small company. You guys have about like 130 people in-house, and Splash was even bigger. So what's interesting for me today is to pick up your experience and your brain, how people say, without buying you lunch, but also learn from you how to navigate marketing successfully inside of the growing company like of this size. And I bet people who are going to listen to this podcast episode, they will find it really valuable because their company is probably like 50 people in house, or maybe
Mm.
like they're one person marketer inside of the company, and they will go like, how the heck can I move all of these like unmovable things?
Sure. Yeah, and Data Girl's not quite that big yet, but yeah, I think we're over 100 for sure in-house.
Mm, that's interesting. What Data Grail doing as a software company?
So Data Grail is a data privacy company.
Mm.
And so what we do is we help people to identify personal data in their tech stack, and then use it to comply with changing privacy laws and legislation, and also meet growing consumer expectations. So I don't know if you've heard of like GDPR or CCPA, but these are like kind of big, scary laws that companies are really learning about in real time. Um, and privacy as a thing is also changing all the time. It sits in IT departments, it sits in legal departments. They're not exactly sure who should own it, who has the budget. And so there's a lot of like on the ground education happening at the same time as like making sure that people have the software that they need to be successful. So part of the challenge, of course, is that compliance piece with legislation. But the other part of the challenge that I personally find even more interesting is meeting consumers where they are with their expectations around data privacy. You can go to any website, ask that your data be deleted. You can do an opt-out request. So as a consumer, You can go to any website that you've signed up for and ask for your data to be treated in any particular way, including deleting it. And so Data Grail helps those companies comply with those expectations. And we actually recently ran a survey called Privacy Awakening, where we asked consumers what their preferences were around data privacy. And we found that the vast majority of people will really only do business at companies where they trust their business practices and that where there are good privacy policies in place. And so there's an ROI angle for companies who are investing in privacy in addition to a compliance angle. And I find that really interesting. And companies that are, deploying Data Grail are seeing the impact on their bottom line.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's uncovering new angles even for me. I've been in a marketing for tech industry for a while, and I've been working with different companies that have different solutions. And even right now, I'm learning something new. That's really interesting. What should I do as a marketer of growing company, working by myself, have no idea where to start and what to do and where to go?
If it were just me, like owning marketing, or if I'm one of the first marketers on the team, what I would do is really insert myself into the sales process as early as possible. I would want to hear what conversations salespeople were having with prospects, and it really exposes what's working and what's not, because there's no hiding from the way that you're positioning your offer once you're trying to get someone to purchase. Um, and so it'll expose gaps for marketing immediately. Are they being consistent call to call? Do they have resources to follow up with? Do they have all of the use cases identified for the prospect? Based on the different types of people that are coming inbound, is the talk track exactly the same, or are they meeting them where they are? There's so much that you can discover just by listening to those sales calls. And then like surveying existing customers is also really valuable.
Mhm.
Um, Probably because of Tableau, really, I learned the value of community marketing in a really significant way. And so one of the first things that I do when I get involved in a company is learn about what they have put in place from a community perspective. Do they have user groups for their existing customers where they're sharing best practices? Do they have opportunities for customers to speak at events, things like that? And you just start to kind of garner insights from the people using the product right away, that you can then take and turn into really valuable material for selling people on the product. Um, and that's not to say that, a user is a buyer, but it definitely will expose what is valuable about your platform.
Then you
And
can
that
market and remarket again,
100%.
you're acquiring new users.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so I would say just listening, documenting, forming those personas would be the absolute first thing that I would do.
Okay, cool. So let's summarize. Basically, if you just start your marketing career, or maybe you're one of the first marketer in the company, and you have no idea where to start, go to sales team, listen and record everything that they're doing, create a pool of information or of data that you can operate with, and then basically just build your marketing strategy based on the gaps and missing points, what you see people missing, our sales team missing.
Beautifully summarized.
Cool.
Absolutely.
So this is step number one. What about step number two? So like, let's say you summarize everything and then you call Piper and then maybe Chris and go like, guys, thank you so much. You just saved me like, A, you saved me my career, and B, you just give me great navigation. What about our next steps? Like, what should I do? What should I do next?
Yeah. So once you have an understanding of who you're selling to, I like to really get into pipeline data. So once people are hitting your website, do you know where they came from? Do you know what story they understand about your brand so that you can best continue that story either through marketing content on the website, a nurture email sequence, text message, like whatever channel, as long as you're continuing that conversation consistently all the way to sales, the person who's engaging with your brand will be interested in continuing that conversation. And we talked about it a little bit the last time we spoke, but you really have to make sure that you have experiences ready at every stage of the funnel. And not because a buyer is going to perfectly navigate from one to the next, but because a buyer could be at any of those stages at any time. And so if you don't have an experience ready for them to educate them about your product or about the problem that you're solving, you've missed out on a critical link in their buying journey. So I would say looking at pipeline data and seeing where the fall off is. Are conversion rates healthy between, your top of funnel website traffic and your lead to opportunity? Are people going from a first call to a second call? And then are people ultimately purchasing and going through implementation? I mean, there's companies doing really interesting things, even taking it beyond and into the customer life cycle where you have not just a lead score for prospects, but a lead score for customers as well, and thinking about the experiences that will lead them to renew and to upsell too. And so if you have data to look at to understand all those conversion points, you can start seeing what optimizations are available to you so that you can offer programs to improve the health
And
of those
educate
conversion
them.
points. Hmm.
Yeah, I really like this specific keyword that you hit here in this second step. Educate your prospects, educate
Hmm.
your viewers, educate your website visitors. What will be the best tool to do that? Like email marketing? I don't know, like you know where I'm going because I'm a video I'm in video production, and obviously I believe that video is the best tool to educate. But maybe
Hmm.
I'm missing something. Like what else besides video should people use as a tool to educate effectively their
Hmm.
their prospects, customers?
Video is a phenomenal tool, and I think that it is definitely, in the arsenal that I select from and that other people select from. My When I put on my enablement hat, uh, I'm reminded that there are 1,000 different learning styles out there, and so
Right.
really it's about understanding based on your type of buyer how they prefer to learn and absorb content.
That's smart.
And so, 15, 20 years ago, and even still, you see, long form white papers being a common output. Some people will absorb them. Some people just want to know that they exist, and it's like a checkbox that, okay, this company knows what they're talking about, but I'm not actually going to learn that way.
Because it's
Um,
time consuming. It's take a lot
it's
of time to read.
Totally. And so that's why you then saw like ebooks becoming a thing because it's like a pithier version. I think video is really stimulating and for B2C companies in particular, super, super valuable. Um, and then, infographics are effective in some cases. And what I've found to be a really interesting part of the world currently is a product walkthrough.
Yeah.
So not just a video of what your product does, but an actual interactive demo environment where prospects can click around and get a sense for your product. And
Mm.
then if they want to see it applied to their particular use case, going forward with a demo or a trial.
Interesting. I saw things like that. It's basically kind of like it's interactive when you pretended that you're using the product and you click here and kind of like this is the journey. The level up from this point, I saw the demo videos. It's basically kind of like the showing like here's the point A, point B, kind of like
Right?
a short format, but it's most entertaining and less engaging. That's what I want to
Hmm.
admit. And the low quality, it's kind of like Loom videos when somebody from team members with terrible microphone go like, okay, let me show you, and probably like having accent like I have, let me show you how our product work because
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm probably working from overseas, and I just like part of the team. Okay, cool. So what else? What else could be there? White papers, videos. What about social proof? Interview testimonials. Like, does how they help? Because I know for sure like that people buying from people they trust, not
Yes.
from the companies.
Yeah, I mean, customer marketing strategies are extremely powerful things. If you can get to the point where you have a CAB, a customer advocacy board, that you just have, 30 exemplar
Mhm.
customers who are comfortable giving you feedback. That really forms like the basis of beta programs for your product team, speakers for different events that you're going to, testimonial for your website, case studies and customer stories. I mean, it's a really, really powerful thing to get that all set up.
I even saw examples of companies that have like you click and there's like pool of testimonials, written or recorded, audio format, video format. I don't care. I mean, it's just
Right.
such a massive social proof that you go like, oh my God, these 30 people love it. I
Hmm.
mean, like how people buy on Amazon.
Yeah, total, exactly. Yeah, we have at my current company, we have a couple of different approaches. One is like these written case studies that are published on our website, and the other are kind of snippets that we use internally to educate the team. And we take like we use Gong to record our sales calls. And so we'll find the actual proof of a customer giving feedback and embed it in that resource so that when our team is onboarding and learning about our differentiators and our benefits and our values, they can hear it straight from the prospect or the customer's side. And it's much more powerful than just being monologued at by a product marketer or an enablement representative.
That's smart. That's really smart. What I want to add is like when you talk to when you record professional testimonial with, for example, like Zoom testimonials, still work. I mean, like who cares? The quality is not important. There is two types of content: beautiful content or smart content. So if your content is smart, it's not necessarily should be beautiful and polished. So and when you do that, to avoid the story being break into pieces, you just ask person that you're talking to implement your question in their answer. For example, if I go like, hey, Piper, what did you have today for breakfast? And you go like, well, today for a breakfast I had, and then you just tell the story of why I love this product. And then the next question also get implemented for your editor versus is like in-house person or hired. It's going to be so much easier to build this narrative when in 2 minutes, this people just give you massive amount of compliments, which
Yeah.
is ultimately work way better than like the conversational parts and like long and time consuming.
That's a really good tip to have your interviewee rephrase your question. I can't tell you the number of times we've had really close to excellent testimonial, but it's just missing that slight bit of context that makes it make sense. It can be
Right,
a,
because
yeah.
and my favorite is like when somebody trying to record a testimonial and go like, "Do you like our company and recommend our company to your family and friends?" And person go like, "Yes."
Yes, right.
Right, and you can't use it because you basically just, I mean, you can't compliment your own company. But if you will tell like, do you mind to tell how you will recommend your company to family and friends, and how do you like our product? The person will sit down, absorb information, and go like, well, I do really like the product, and I will recommend it, and forever they will say. And that's how you got your perfect testimonial that will hit your sales or marketing margin up.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. So this is the second step, which is
Yes.
really, really important. And now you are a king of your team. Your boss buying your flowers and lunch, and you accelerate their sales. You understand. You probably only one person in company besides the CEO who understand how sales work and what your product is about and what you're missing, and you marketing it well, and company is growing. And now the step number three, like what do you
Mm,
need to do to
yeah,
make it even more successful, even cooler?
yeah.
I think we need to charge money for this podcast.
Yeah, I think that's the next step for sure. I should have had that written down beforehand. Well,
This is years of experience, years of experience on my end from the content creation and basically supporting tools. And I used to like to joke about it, like people shouldn't expect anything from videos if they don't know how to use them. It's basically like if
hmm.
we create a screwdriver for you, we create a drill. Your job is to go and to make holes with that
Yes,
drill, right?
yes.
So, and you spend so much time and years educating yourself.
It's kind of that problem that a lot of consultants have, right? Where they know the shortcuts and the high impact initiatives already, but and so it takes them a lot less time to
Mhm.
do a really good job, but they don't get compensated for all of that past experience. Yeah, it's a tricky thing unless they're doing like per project fees. But yeah, it's a tricky thing.
All right,
Yes,
go
third
back to
thing.
nuggets. Give them value.
Yeah, so I think once you know who you're selling to, you know the conversion points in the funnel that you can impact, it's really about then telling the right story. So this is part editorial calendar, it's part product roadmap. I'm of course biased as a product marketer that I think, every point in time campaign needs to be buttressed by a launch of some sort so that you're proving that your company is actually investing in the solution. We're not just giving you education or having a perspective, we're also acting on it and putting the tool in front of you as a proof point. Yeah, so this is my absolute favorite part of the job. One example of a campaign that we did like this was pairing a product update, which was a new assessments product, with a Series C fundraise, with hiring new members of our executive team. And so we actually had a couple of really critical business updates in tandem with this product update that made a huge splash in the market. And so we announced all of this at an industry conference, and it took people's eyeballs away from other things that were happening and really focused it on our brand because no matter where they were in their journey with data privacy, something was happening at our business at every level of the funnel. If you cared about education, we had these brand new executives doing a roundtable panel with a privacy legislator. If you knew that you needed a privacy platform, we had this brand new functionality for you to check out. And so it was a way to kind of capture the attention and the magic of the moment and funnel all of this prospect traffic through what we ended up doing as a live event, knitting all of these announcements together in one place.
At the first level, you learn about your customers.
Yep.
Second, you builds up on this, and basically you just adjust in the narrative and how you communicate to these people. Basically, it's like you learn who and why they buying from you, then you explain them how it work and why should they care,
Yes.
and then you pretty much retain them by continuously updating them on your own company journey, which is
Right.
also critical, but like for if you didn't accomplish first and second step, it's not that important because you can.
You wouldn't tell the right story if you didn't like deeply understand who was your total addressable market, like what their preferences were. If you don't understand the problems that they're trying to solve, you're not going to be able to answer those questions and do it in a interesting way. And so that launch event is really the culmination of understanding the problems people were having and then um, understanding what the conversion points were in the funnel that were breaking. And we said, okay, people are getting lost between education and purchase decision. And so we're going to put all of this really valuable content in a clean, concise, beautiful 45-minute event and get them to get over that hurdle.
Okay, cool. I'm really curious personally. So, doing all of this information, companies that have 50 plus people, in-house team members, they usually have about like couple of marketers by this time, and their marketing team is continuously growing. Who responsible for creation all of these pieces and nuggets of the content? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking about external agencies, but I also not talking about freelancers because it could be both. And also at some point, companies getting so big that it's become too expensive and not relevant for them to hire freelancers or agencies because they charge more and they looking
Mm-hmm.
for in-house team. So can you tell me a little bit more about like if I am this marketer, like what should I do? Like I building my company and helping my company to grow from, let's say like there is only 30 of us and we have a specific number of revenue per year and we want to scale to 60 people, like double pretty much
Yeah.
every the year. What should we do? Like, should I call script writers and like, or maybe should I use Chat GDP Should I
Right,
go freelancers on Fiverr and babysit them because they have no idea how my business work and I just spend all the time just
right.
telling them what to do, or should I work with agency that understands but charge me a fortune?
Yeah. So I've done it all of the above ways,
Okay.
truthfully. In addition to just like putting my own nose to the grindstone and just pumping out content. At past companies, I've opened up content producer roles that would attract people who weren't just, and this was like early on in um, like having lots of different types of media that people were playing with. So typically you would see like copywriter hires, but I was interested in someone who was experimenting with like creating GIFs and infographics and like downloading free tools and testing things out. So we got pretty far with just hiring a full-time content producer who was a good writer, but also not afraid of the visual side of things. At my current company, what we have is a really powerful duo of people between a full-time designer and a full-time copywriter. And so what I think is so brilliant about this is that they have all of this dedicated time together to just be creative. And so we can provide them with a messaging framework and roadmap of conversations we want to have. And then it's really in their court to decide what the deliverable is that will best get the desired outcome.
So tell me a little bit more about what is your strategy going forward?
Yeah, so 2023, we are looking at, it's actually interesting, like a major theme is even deeper empathy with our buyer. And especially because, as everybody knows, this economic climate is one that is a little bit scary. And so, purchasing behaviors are changing and we need to be prepared for that. So I am working closely with our revenue leadership team to kind of define what the major conversations we want to have are throughout the year, so that when we get to each new quarter, everyone is speaking along the same narrative lines. Um, and so the earlier that you can get people bought in to what those campaign ideas are and what those talk tracks are, the more effectively you're going to have one conversation as a company, and the more people will trust your brand. And so, from like a multimedia perspective, since that's your background and what you're interested in, we're looking at the effectiveness of some of those product walkthroughs that I was mentioning. We're looking at doing more video content through testimonial, but also with just like privacy experts in the space. We're lucky to have a lot of in-house privacy experts, people who work in legislative capacities, people who have worked in um, who like we have a state senator who works with us. And so we're looking at ways to get their insights packaged and then out into the market in a compelling way. And so video is definitely one of those mediums.
In this case, that sometimes it's more effective when you have just videos, but also you want to entertain your viewers while they watching stuff, right? And when it's like the 3-5 minute testimonial, if you add some illustration or kind of like animated elements about the
Oh,
show,
cool.
illustrate stuff, it didn't cost too much, but it's increasing the conversion in the time of people watching the video.
Yeah, it's like longer view times because their attention
Correct.
doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
dissipate.
Because
Yeah,
something happened besides the speaking head,
right.
above the shoulder, and it's they always waiting like, oh, what will happen the next? That's what I really recently discovered for myself, and that's what I also learned. Did I ever told you about the importance of the LOTI files on the website?
I think you mentioned it quickly. They're essentially like really light video, right? Like almost like GIFs.
It's basically GIFs itself. It could be like anywhere from, I don't know, like 10 megabytes to 100 megabytes in terms of the heaviness or like the
Hmm.
weight of the video. That's crazy heavy for the website because it's
Hmm.
affect the way website is loading, and obviously it's like its experience and what people the viewers experience. When you use the LOTI files, each LOTI it's like 20 kilobytes, like less than
Yeah,
one
crazy.
megabyte. And basically, what you can do, you can take elements of your user interface and ask animator who understand Lottie to animate this user interface in an effective way to show these demo elements that you talk about in earlier in the beginning of the conversation. And basically, when people land on the website, they start to see things that playing already without asking them, hey, do you want to watch it? And it's
Mm-hmm.
working like TikTok. Basically, people slow down and they watch because it's what's the psychology and how people brain work. And they, if you have like two or three elements during your website, the page, it's engaging. People watch it and they learn while they watch it. They got engaged more, and also it didn't make your website heavier, and it's
Right.
crazy effective. And
Yeah.
it's also not expensive, but not many companies knowing that. And because I review in I told you like 100 sites per day. Like I review in like multiple companies. When my lead generation team send me like different companies and stuff, our clients, our potential clients, I just watching their websites and I want to cry because like I go like there's so much like missing opportunities. Yeah, this is like Lotus stuff. It's crazy effective. All right, so that was extremely interesting and extremely valuable for me personally. I learned a lot from you, and I hope that people that listen and watching this video will be posted on YouTube channel. And I just want to say thank you so much for being our guest today and sharing all of this knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me, Chris. This was fantastic. I'm excited to watch it back, and I learned a lot from you as well.